The decade of war has not only destroyed Syria's present and poised its future, it has damaged beyond repair some of its fabulous past. Syria was an archaeologist paradise, a World Heritage home to some of the oldest and best preserved jewels of ancient civilizations. Kanero Alex narrates.
A decade of war has not only destroyed Syria's present and poisoned its future, it has damaged beyond repair some of its fabled past. Syria was an archaeologist paradise, a World Heritage home to some of the oldest and best preserved jewels of ancient civilizations. The conflict that erupted in 2011 is arguably the worst of the 21st century so far on a humanitarian level, but the wanton destruction of heritage was possibly the worst in generations a few years. Archaeological sites were damaged, museums were looted, and old city centers were leveled.
They broke and shattered all the faces and heads of the statues left in the museum. The small ones and the larger ones that we hadn't yet been able to remove. They broke and shattered the heads and the faces. Unfortunately, some of them can be restored, but some you can't even find the rest of their pieces. The only way would be to make new pieces using other material.
Halil remembers the trauma of having to flee the desert city and its treasures as they fell into the hands of the so-called Islamic State group.
I lived and grew up in Palmyra. During my childhood, I used to play in the ancient city and run between its columns and its theater. But now when I see what happened to the city, I cry. When I first entered the museum after it was liberated by the Syrian army, I collapsed at the entrance.
Palmyra is a majestic ancient city whose influence peaked towards the end of the Roman Empire and was famously ruled by the Queen Zenobia in the 3rd century. Its imposing kilometer-long colonnade is unique and one of the Syria's most recognizable landmarks. The contrast offered by the splendor and prowess of the Palmyrian architecture as a backdrop to the barbarity of disheveled gun-toting jihadists captured the world's imagination. The site became a stage for public execution and other gruesome crimes. The headless body of chief archaeologist Khalid was also displayed there by IS henchmen who had tortured him to get him to reveal where the site artifacts had been transferred.
During 10 years of war, Syria's physical heritage was exposed to a catastrophe at the national level and a catastrophe at the global level because systematic damage affected most important archaeological sites in Syria, which are sites classified on the World Heritage List.
The jihadists rigged Palmyra's famed shrine of Baal Shamin and blew it up, and also destroyed the Temple of Baal, blew up the Ark of Triumph, looted what they could from the museum, and defaced the statues and sarcophagi that were too large to remove. By the time the government forces retook control of Palmyra in 2017, it had been irreversibly damaged.
Since the Roman era until the present, over the past 2 millennia of Syrian history, nothing worse has happened than what did during the war, especially the fiercest years of war. Unfortunately, during the period in which I was General Director of Antiques and Museums between 2018 and 2019, it was a situation of complete destruction.
The economic stakes are also huge for Syria's future. The country's heritage wealth was the key attraction of a tourism industry that had remained stunted but has massive potential. Syria has 6 sites on the UNESCO elite list of World Heritage, and all of them sustained some level of damage in the war. Besides Palmyra and Aleppo, the ancient cities of Damascus and Bosra also suffered. The spectacular Crusader Castle was also caught in the fighting, as well as a group of old villages near the Turkish border known as the Dead Cities. Other major heritage landmarks sustained severe destruction, such as the site of Apamea, an ancient Roman-era city on the Orontes River known for a colonnade that ran even longer than the Palmyras. At the height of its glory, Palmyra was a symbol of pluralistic civilization, a commercial hub on the Silk Road that was a cultural crossroads. Reporting for Switch TV, my name is Kanero Alex.